Hello all, it's Sharif here with Engadget, giving you a quick overview of the Samsung Galaxy S3. And I guess the first thing you need to say about this phone is, well, it's big. It's probably at around the limit of what you can comfortably use in one hand. If you're staying within the mainstream smartphone factor. We're looking at a 4.8 inch along the diagonal display. Which results in this being, up to a centimeter larger on both the width and the height than perhaps what you're used to based on last year's crop of flagship phones. So yes, it is big, but on the other hand, you have a really thin 8.6 millimeter chassis there, and it's also really light because, as you'll see, this is very much in keeping with Samsung's Galaxy S and Galaxy Nexus style of design here, which means you're getting a plastic build, very, very thin sheet of plastic on the back cover there, and a plastic, really mainly a plastic construction. But all of that serves to keep the impact of the bigger screen down. And it's important to be clear that you're getting a really nice panel for that. Yes, you have to lug it around, but it's not such a big deal when you see what you're getting. And if you take a look here, you're getting a full high definition 1280 by 720 display, and it's AMOLED, which means you get punchy colors. Let's load up something from my gallery. Let's have a look. Really nice contrasty look with the blacks being real black. And yes, it is pentile, but because the screen is so big, you tend to hold it a bit further away, perhaps a few inches different. And really at this kind of distance, you don't see those pixels. If I go back to the home screen, let's take a look. Generally, pentile means you see more pixelation than you do with full RGB panels like LCD. But, and that's still the case here. You can just make out those pixels, but really, Samsung has put a lot of work into its AMOLED technology, into its pentile technology, and at the level that we comfortably use this phone, at the distance from our eyeballs, we cannot really make out that difference. Overall, it's a lovely, lovely display. Let's load up a video trailer. Let's have a look and give it a wipe too.
Please sit. Put your money on the table.
You can see that the skin tones are natural. There's none of that greenish bluish tint that we've seen on other pentile phones from Galaxy. And also the viewing angle. Sorry about the reflections here, it's a really bright day, but hopefully you can make out that the viewing angles are just really good, really nice. And that's also really good for taking photographs outside. Even if you go into the camera here, there's actually an outdoor mode setting which makes full use of, it's somewhere in there, in outdoor visibility, there we go. It makes full use of the punchiness of AMOLED to help you shoot in bright sunshine. And that's really useful. So yes, you're getting a really good display for your money. Okay, so the other big selling point of this phone has to be its processor. You can't see it obviously, but what you can see is the effects. There's very little you can do to stress out this processor. Let's load up a PDF. Oh, here we go. This is a PDF consisting of kind of scanned images, and it stresses a lot of phones. But here it's pretty good in the Polaris viewer. Stop here. It takes a second to render, but it's hard to really challenge it. Let's go into my gallery. Where is that? Here we go. And you'll see if I scroll through pics and so on, it's just really fast, and the benchmarks back this up too. And one area where that speed really helps, the Exynos processor inside here really helps, is when you're taking full 1080p video, because the computing power is sufficient to really speed up autofocus. When you're shifting from something that's close at hand to something further away, the camera module here keeps up extremely well. Now, that leads us to some of the bad sides of this device, because as I've mentioned, the camera here is great, and it comes with the TouchWiz camera app, which is probably the best camera app you can get. And it reflects the fact that Samsung, it wants to have a lot of influence over the software in this phone. And it's gone to the lengths of actually putting, putting a really deep layer, a really deep skin over what is underneath here Android 4. And there are good things about that, like the camera app, but there are also bad things. And if I give you, I'll tell you one of the bad things. Here, if you look at the buttons along here, we have a back and we have menu, which we can get access to settings from there too, from the home screen. But that should not be there. What we should have there is a multitasking button. Instead, to multitask, let's press and hold that. There, I have to get into my multitasking here, I have to press and hold this for like a second. And that really slows things down. And that is not a pure Android thing. That is a Samsung thing carrying on with its TouchWiz styles from older phones. And so you're getting a generally busier skin with not the cutting edge operating system that Google spends so much time on. So that's one of the downsides. While we're here, I'll just give you one of the really big upsides actually, which is, you take this back off. There you go, something that other phones of this ilk don't have, which is your micro SD card slot there. That's great for cheap storage. Also, this phone, it matches its hefty quad-core processor with an equally hefty battery, 2100 mAh, and this lasts an incredibly long time. We've really stressed this phone out over the last few days with benchmarking and so on, and it's basically lasted extremely well. So, I mean, I've given you a few pluses and minuses there, but let's go deeper into the software now and look at some of the things that Samsung have done with TouchWiz. Some of them might be useful. I'll give you an example. This is a useful little feature. If I go into here and I go into display, here you can set your screen time out, and for battery conservation you want that to be as short as possible, but of course 15 seconds is dangerous because you'll end up losing the display. It'll turn off while you're in the middle of reading a website or whatever. But you can use this function to prevent that from happening, Smart Stay, which I really like. Basically, you'll be staring at this screen, and the front-facing camera can see, which is right there, it can see you looking at it. And so after 15 seconds, instead of turning off as it normally would, I should see, there we go, a little flash there. And it hasn't seen my face because it's just seen the camera, but actually it's going to switch off the backlight now because it thinks I'm not around. But if I was looking right at the device, it would see my face and it would last. Now, not all additions in TouchWiz are that neat. I mean, we have here, for example, the Siri competitor, S-Voice, and I've tried to use this for the last few days, but I just can't get along with it. What's the weather going to... It often interrupts me mid-sentence. I can't really blame it for that occasion because I was talking already. Let's just let it finish.
I'm not sure what you mean by, but I just can't get along with it.
Sure. Alright, give me another chance. Hi, Galaxy. What's the weather going to be like in London tomorrow? Yeah. You know, it will work, it's slow.
Forecast for tomorrow is partly sunny.
Great, great. Well, it can do basic stuff. It could set an alarm. It could activate sending a text message to someone, although it really struggles with surnames. But overall, not very impressed with S-Voice. Don't use it very much. There are actually much cooler little software features, which I reference in the full review, which are more useful. So there you have it. A very strong processor, a very strong display, a not so strong software operating system. There we would rather have seen something closer to pure Android 4.0. And yes, there's one other big rival on the market, as you'll see if you read my review. So that's it for now. Thanks for watching. Have a good day.